We're in the middle of our story of our trip to Crawford and George W. Bush's ranch for the Warrior 100K mountain bike ride for wounded veterans. This year was special. It was the 7th year in a row that he's done this. First year, by the way, was in Lajitas. The second year, Paladuro Canyon. And then for the last 5 years, he's held the event in Crawford on his ranch, which makes the most sense because he's got 43 miles of great mountain bike trails, and it's a place that he can secure. And even when he goes mountain biking at a local park here, which he does a lot, you know, he'll go to some of these trails here in the Metroplex, or if he's out at Paladuro or Big Bend, he doesn't have the park shut down for him. You know, he'll ride with Secret Service, but he doesn't like to inconvenience others. So holding the event at Crawford makes all sorts of sense.
Well, he's put a lot of work into those trails, too.
Yes.
He's put years of work into that. And I don't know anything about mountain biking, but it looked pretty cool to me, the work that they had done and the places that he took you.
And a reminder, this weekend, your final chance to see the Portraits of Courage exhibits at the Bush Center. You can also meet the warriors that rode in the W100K that appear in the book. They'll be there from noon until 6 on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday before the exhibit closes next Tuesday. You can always buy the book at bushcenter.org. And something else that the Bush Center wanted us to make our veterans who may be listening aware of, if you're a veteran and you're struggling with PTSD or just getting back into the normal flow of life, whatever it might be, and there are so many veterans who struggle with this, they have a ton of resources for those veterans, caregivers, interested members in the community that can help the veterans get back to a normal pace of life. Go to bushcenter.org for complete details. bushcenter.org for veterans looking for help. All right, so when last we left you, we were at the midway point of the ride, and we talked to Michael Rodriguez, one of the veterans who was taking part, 53 wounded veterans in the ride with the president. By the way, the president's pretty handy on a mountain bike.
Boy, he is.
And he'll tell us the story here momentarily of how he got into mountain biking. But at 71, he is in remarkable shape, and he's a really good mountain bike rider. And the first part of the ride, you know, the first 5 or 6 miles, we went really slowly, and we were going through this treed section, just kind of a windy area of the ranch. And then we got out on some open roads, and the speed picked up a little more. Well, we hit this really technical rocky section that was twisty through trees and had a bunch of big rocks. And I'm telling you, the speed picked up dramatically, and he was at the front. So he was the one that was picking the speed up at 71. He's really nifty on the mountain bike.
I know, and we would drive up ahead of you guys in the Gators, and, of course, he's leading the way. And there would be people behind him keeping up. Now, these weren't necessarily veterans. Some of them were, you know, sponsors in good shape, much younger than him, that were huffing and puffing a little bit. I never really saw him huff and puff the whole day. He was just, he looked great. And the ranch is beautiful. Some of the areas on the ranch, like when we went down near the riverbed, what they call the riverbed area, and we all went across that wooden bridge.
The waterfall is what they call that?
Yeah, the waterfall area. That was really cool. And some of the area, too, was really unique in that both President Bush and Laura are really into conservation, and they have gone back and restored a lot of that ranch, hundreds of acres, to prairie land and what it looked like 150 years ago.
So as you guys are following the ride around on the Gator, you said you had a brief interaction with the president?
Well, yeah, what would happen was the Gators would run up ahead, and we would get to these specific locations which we would overlook the race. And so you guys would come by us, and then as soon as you went by us, we would hop on the Gators and then speed to this next location, this next overlook. So the riders saw us probably 6 times.
Yeah.
And I was wearing a shirt that my brother had given me that said Shotgun Willie on it, which was from Willie Nelson's album. He's seen wearing this Ringer T-shirt on that. My brother got it for us because we remembered it from when we were kids. And it seemed like about half the riders would comment on my shirt as they rode by. And finally, on about the 3rd time, you hear the president comment on my shirt. So this is the pack approaching us with the president in the lead, and this is what he said to me.
How about it? Shotgun Willie.
That is so Will Ferrell's George W. Bush.
Just flying by us.
How about it? Shotgun Willie.
How about it? Shotgun Willie.
That's great. So the ride continues, and the ride went for about 2.5 hours, something like that.
How many miles do you think y'all went?
We did a little over 20 miles.
Okay.
And normally the 100K, 100 kilometers, is roughly 60 miles, and they do 20 miles a day for 3 days. Since this was an alumni weekend, they did 2 days worth of riding, I believe, on Saturday and Sunday. But normally that's how you get to 100K. Because if you did all 60 miles on trails in one day, that's a really long mountain bike ride for anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they split it up. And I would say, I asked a couple of people, well, how much longer are we going? And that's up to the president. So
see how he feels.
Yeah, it's whatever he wants to ride. So we get to the end of the ride, and everybody is grabbing something to drink or something to eat. And Andrew from the Bush Center said, okay, you guys are going to get a few minutes with the president. So he takes us over to where George W. is standing talking to somebody else, and he taps him on the shoulder, and he says, hey, these are the guys from the ticket in Dallas, George and Craig and Gordon. And the president's, the look on his face was one of slight recognition, but I think as we started the conversation, then he realized, who we were, or that he had done the show with us from the golf tournament a few months ago. It started to click with him. But we're very forgettable, so it's understandable that in the beginning he just thought, okay, it's some spare media guys, which we are. But then we got a few minutes with him, and this is just minutes after the ride ended.
Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it?
Oh, man, it was a blast. First of all, thank you so much for having us. Honored to be here.
You've come out here for a perfect day. You did not embarrass your radio station.
That was goal. That was goal number one.
Yeah, well, that's good. You didn't, and nor did you fall. But, I'm sure you felt the same thing I felt. And riding with these people, these vets that have recovered from difficult times is awe-inspiring and fun.
It's absolutely amazing. Some of them may be missing an arm, a leg or something, and they're unbelievably fast and competent on those trails.
Oh, yeah. And plus, they're confident to the point where they give their old commander-in-chief a lot of gas.
Yeah, do you allow them to trash talk you while you're out there?
Oh, yeah. It's fun. It is really, the camaraderie is great. So what this ends up happening to be, besides a joyful moment, is that it's a network of vets who all overcome post-traumatic stress or in the process of overcoming post-traumatic stress, and they best can help each other. I mean, we can be sympathetic, but sympathy oftentimes doesn't work. And so this is a network, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they help other people, and so the bike is just a catalyst, and it's fun.
Craig was the rider. Gordon and I went around with Andrew on the Gator.
Yeah.
But we got out ahead of you. We were really impressed with your riding ability.
Yeah, thank you.
You never seemed to break a sweat.
Well, it's because you didn't feel my shirt. But no, it's. I try to stay fit. Mountain biking is a great way to stay fit. We're blessed with a beautiful piece of property, and the best way to see it is on your bike.
Well, see, in your, I guess after presidency, you got into mountain biking and painting.
Yeah, well, no.
It's kind of an odd combo.
It is an odd combo.
What's next, lumberjacking and doily making?
Exactly. Yoga and... no, I actually started mountain biking in 2004 because I couldn't run anymore. And I must have been a little grumpy around the household, and my daughter said, you need to get out and get some exercise. And I said, well, I can't run. And she said, well, there's a bike in the garage, use it. And I said, okay. And I started mountain biking then. And I mountain biked when I was president.
So was it a decent mountain bike, or was she talking about like her childhood bike was out in the garage?
It was like a kind of a Trek with training wheels. I've got to know the Trek people well, and they've been unbelievably generous here. So most of these vets have been given Trek bikes. And they're promoting now an e-bike. And so there's a guy here who rode the wheelchair, and he is now able of getting out of the wheelchair and on an e-bike, which is spectacular. Wow. So he told me he's now riding mountain bikes with his son on trails that are only accessible to mountain bikes. And,
You know, when we talk to some of the warriors, and it means so much to them to come out here and spend the weekend. It's not just the riding, but it's just being around you and the dinners. And I imagine you get just as much or more out of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I love these guys. These are the ones I painted. 38 of them who are here I painted. And so I've gotten to know them well enough to paint them. And they're remarkable people. And they're getting more comfortable, with each other and with me. And a lot of them have adjusted. So I painted a guy here, a real harsh painting. And because he had written this letter about what it was like to be in war, and I was trying to think about, what he had written, and it's tough. And I showed it to him. I said, man, I painted you dark because of what you wrote. And he said, that's the way I used to look. And it was just music to my ears to know that
we saw a lot of smiles out here today.
Yeah, he began to recover. And so anyway, I've seen them when they've been, badly hurt, because a lot of them I saw in Walter Reed when I was president, and then I've watched them come out of their doldrums and watched them begin to recover mentally, and it's awesome. I mean, these guys are leaders, and they're going to be, as I tell people, think about it, millions of people who got a PhD in life at the age of 18, and personal responsibility, teamwork, competition, dealing with danger, and if helped, they're going to be huge assets for the country. They really will be.
And we feel like we owe them so much, and I think we talked about this with you last time. They've kept us safe since 2001 here on
Couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with you. See, here's the problem. The farther we get away from 9/11, the less people remember the lessons of 9/11, which was the human condition elsewhere matters to our national security. And that people forget what it was like with all the threats and stuff. And these boys went on the offense, and they've done a hell of a job. And here's the thing: they don't want to be pitied, but they don't mind somebody saying thank you for a job well done. And so hanging out with them, just inspires me and gives me great hope for the future of the country.
Well, you can probably tell that while these guys were serving our nation, George and I were eating.
Eating the nation?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
So who have you done recently? You're through doing Mac Brown.
Right.
Did you see Coach Rule? He was out here today.
Oh,
I saw him earlier, yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't, and I haven't developed an impersonation of him yet.
He has been doing one of you today, though.
Perfect. I hope so.
Yeah, kind of do it like this.
Yeah.
Just kind of.
Nice to see you.
That's him doing me doing him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like an Escher print.
Ping pong match.
Well, good. So how often do you get out here by yourself, like on these trails?
Yeah, but there's no such thing as by yourself as president.
Does that bug you sometimes?
No, not anymore. I mean, I knew what I was getting into. And so it's like one of these guys, self-inflicted wound, and oh man, look how hurt I am. No, I knew exactly what I was getting into, and frankly, they're fun to ride mountain bikes with. Secret Service, they got good riders, and they're not up there chit-chatting the whole time, so I'm out in the lead thinking about things.
Right.
And all I told them when I was president is don't get ahead of me. I just want to see empty space.
Right. Well, if you ever need a job, you can come to the ticket. You can do a sports
I can
talk.
come up with some stuff.
Yeah, you'd be good at that.
Yeah, I got a good lip, and I might be able to do a few impersonations for you.
That'd be great.
That'd be awesome.
Thank you so much again for having us out here.
Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it. Thank you so
A
much.
lot of fun. Good riding.
How does he know we do fake Mac Brown?
I don't know.
Who you doing these days? Yeah, I guess you can't do Mac Brown.
And can the two of you stop throwing each other under the bus?
Yes, George, you're a big jerk.
No.
Because you were trying to make me do my impersonation of him in front of him.
You did it for 3 hours straight. Why not? I thought you were ready for a big audition.
And don't you high horse him, because if he had been doing Bush impersonations for 3 hours, you would have said, he's been impersonating you the whole day.
I thought I just beat you to the punch there. Yeah, he's really nice.
What a
So
great
personable.
event. What an honor to be a part of that. The Warrior 100K mountain bike ride for wounded veterans. We got to hang out with the president. We got to hang out with 53 of our veterans, and it was just a great, great day. Again, for details on the Portraits of Courage exhibit, the book, and if you're a veteran and you're looking for help, go to bushcenter.org. That's bushcenter.org. And thank you to the folks at the Bush Center, and thank you to the president for having us out.